back again with a new video. So I don't have that many packages to show off. Everything that I have bought recently is either on the way or it's going to the German mailbox. And so once everything arrives from the German mailbox, once everything gets to the German mailbox, I'll unload it and have it sent to me. But that'll be a video in the near future. So we'll get right into it. So Seb helped me out with this. This is Alejandro Morera Soto, and he is one of the 20 players on my top 20 want list for 2026. So far, I've crossed off 6. This was the 6th guy. I was only aware of his 2 cards from 1935. They're really small. You can tell it's him, but they're not really attractive. So once I found out he had one a year earlier and it was an actual portrait card, fantastic. Then I found out the set was like extremely rare, like one of the hardest sets. They'd never show up, but I went ahead and checked Toto anyways, and this lot full of Barcelona players was there. And at the same time, I was talking to Seb about it, and he had mentioned that he knows the seller personally, that he had noticed the set, and he was interested in the Zamora, and so he added this onto a deal that he was doing with that seller, and it was just luck. It was luck. He was able to get the cards for below the listing price. And yeah, it all worked out. It was shipped to him, and then he shipped me the cards. So super happy to have that. Super happy to cross that card off the list. There's the back. So yeah, I was going to try to find some sort of photograph of his team from Costa Rica sometime in the late 20s or early 30s. That seemed pretty difficult. I didn't like the 35 cards, so I'm happy to find out that he was in that, because he is not in the only pre-war, pre-1950 set from Costa Rica. He's not in that set. And he's not also, because he played in Cuba for 1 year, he's not in any of the Cuban sets from the 1920s that have football cards in it, because there's no Cuban sets in the 30s that have any football cards in it. But he played in Cuba in 1927-28 season. But yeah, so far as I know, that's his earliest card. Marked his name off the list. I have 14 guys left. So yeah, so that was one package. Another package was these. So 1912 Patsy Gallagher, the 1912 F&J Smith set. I've been after this for a long time, so I'm happy to find it clean. The black borders, you are prone to chipping. So I'm happy to have a clean version of this. Mark that off the list. Really happy with this. And then the much bigger card is the Charlie Buchan, the Murray Cigarettes issue from 1913. So happy to mark off both players. These are the only cards for both players I need. And then the last package, which is not soccer, not football related, it's actually esports. I got added to a non-sports Discord group. Great Discord group. Met tons of new collectors that I didn't know, thanks to Ryan. One of them posted a group of cards, and I knew every card in the grouping except for one, and I had tried to find the earliest issue of this South Korean gamer, just because I'd been told he's the greatest online gamer to ever exist. He's won the most championships. I think he only plays League of Legends, which is not a game I play. I'm familiar with it though. And so yeah, he talked to me, and I was able to find a news article about the release. And so what these are from 2021 from McDonald's, and they were released for about 2 to 3 weeks in South Korea, and you could only get them with one or with a specific meal. And so for like the first 2 weeks or a week and a half, it was one meal, and then it changed to another meal the next week and a half or 2 weeks. And so there's 5 cards in the set. He had doubles, while he had triples, and so I bought 2 of each because I knew Al would want a set, and so I'm sending him a set. But yeah, so and then he had I guess the key card. He had all of them graded. He had a CGC 9, and then he had 2 CGC 5s. So I bought both 5s, and then ungraded cards of the other 4 that he had. But yeah, so there's Faker. He's the key guy you would want. As far as I know, oh, here's the back. So it was like a redemption code, probably, some sort of coupon online. But yeah, so I'm super happy to have cards originating from South Korea. That was a country I did not have in my collection. And then, standard cards, I might have some sort of something from South Korea, but not cards. So I'm happy to scratch that off. He was a guy that I wanted to find the earliest issue of. Now, I don't know if that's his earliest issue, but as far as I can tell, that's the earliest thing I can find. And, having another collector think that too is great. I haven't found any sort of South Korean collectors, but yeah, so I'm happy to have that. That's really different. And then let's get into what I've been doing all weekend. So I had a huge backlog of cards, postcards, cutouts, magazines, like anything I picked up this year has just been sitting on my desk in piles, as you can see in front of you. And plus there's piles to my right, there's piles to my left, of postcards and large photographs and supplements and all that stuff. And what I did was I took everything and I put it all into my Excel sheet. And I marked down that I have it and it's recorded into my collection. And now everything can be put away in boxes and well, everything's already labeled. Put away in boxes and organized and can, get out of my way. So yeah, I'll probably do this again every 6 months. But this is what I've accumulated in 6 to 7 months. So super happy to have that finished. I started Friday. I ended about 3 hours ago. It's basically all I've been doing. But yeah, no, I'm happy to look at the progress. My Excel sheet went from like 2,700 to 2,996. And that was just because I picked up things of players that I was interested in, added the new players. Sometimes those players weren't on the list, so I added them in because, like for example, I got in a group of supplements from France. Tons of players like Fontaine and Marsh. So I had those guys on my list, put the supplements with those names, added Excel lines, and then I had to put in new Excel rows for the other players. And yeah, so I added everything and super happy to have that finished. And then I put a bunch of other cards in sleeves and top loaders. And then I went through the group of cards I bought from the Canadian seller. That's mostly Argentinian and Uruguayan, with a few German and English cards as well. And I found some goodies. So, Angel Romano. That's from the 32 Glorieta set. Everything else is put away. These I might be, offering up to sell. So, Stabile from that 32 set. Uridarian from that 24, 25 set. Same set, Zabechi. Benacasa. Ballestero. I'm probably butchering these names. That's from the 1930s playing card set. Castillo. Andrade. And then Juan Evaristo from the 32 set. So I'll probably offer up those cards probably tomorrow. The Stabile, I had somebody asking if I had a card for sale of that player, and that might be my only Stabile, but I'll probably offer it to him. It's from a 32 set. His earliest is from 25. I would rather have a dollar card of him anyways, so I'll probably sell that. What else? I got some more sleeves for the magnetic cases. So I put a few. These were the only magnetic cases without sleeves. And then some more cards I found. There's a cool Angel Labruna. Not found, but like I already had, and then finally got a date and title to these cards and placed in the Excel sheet. So this is 48 Figuritas Pum, P-U-M. 1956 Rizla. That's a 1950s hand cut from a magazine. Probably sell this one too, because I have a better version of that card. There's a weight card from Spain, probably 53, of Foz Wilkes. Alberto Spencer. This is from the 68 cracks, I think. Two more of those 1982 World Cup cards from Uruguay, from the España album. I'm pretty sure I've showed off most of these cards. Ferenc Platko. That's from the 42 Fabrica Glorieta set. And this is the 32 Pedro Arispe and Mazzali. What do I have coming to me? I have a lot of Dutch cards from the 50s that are on the way. It's a set that I cannot pronounce. It starts with a B. Boletji, maybe. It's a biscuit company from the Netherlands. So I have a bunch of those. That'll be an interesting discussion because they're not fakes. They don't have the lettered backs on them like you normally see from graded copies. I believe they are either skinned proofs or they are productions to fill albums from the 50s. They don't have the same looks of the known fakes I've been able to track down. They come from a trusted source, at least, trusted to me. And her story was that her grandfather had a collection of them. So it seems plausible. It definitely seems plausible. It doesn't match the fakes that I've ever seen. And I have a lettered back of a player on the Russian team, Petrov, and it just seems like these are most likely skinned backs, or some production that didn't have the lettering on the back, which is not alien to certain vintage cards groups. There are other examples of later series being reproduced and being of like a poor quality, or just having some irregularity to it, So we'll see what happens. So I have that coming in. I have a lot of oversized 1950s Uruguayan cards coming in that I bought from Graham. I have a 1928 supplement of Dixie Dean that I bought from Chris. I have some cool stuff from eBay that is not soccer related. A 1960-61 Unella Israel wrapper of Yuri Gagarin. Finally found one of those. Super happy to have that coming in because I had always liked Ryan's copy. That was the only one I had ever seen or could see, I couldn't find one, and then I just stumbled upon one on eBay and I bought it immediately. So super happy with that. A lot of 1940s photo cards of wrestlers because it had the angel in it. So I'm happy to get that. I bought 2 1968 Panini music cards of James Brown, both backs. So I'm happy to have those. I think the 68s are his earliest known cards besides like advertisements. What else? An Eddie Tolan. I bought an Eddie Tolan Tiedeman's card. And that's all that I can remember, but I know I have a few other things coming in. So, yeah, that's about it. If you have any questions, if you're, interested in any of the cards I've shown off, please message me. I'll most likely tell you no, unless I said that these are most likely going up for sale. But yeah, everything's been going good. Finally finished on all of that. Pretty much all my deals are pretty much finished except for 2. But those will be finished by the end of the month. And yeah, that's it. All right. Peace.